Juliana Xin. I am a financial advisor and a college unit director with Northwestern Mutual Wealth Management Company. Essentially what I do is create comprehensive financial portfolios for my clients in terms of creating short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals and creating an efficient plan that allows them to tackle those goals sooner rather than later, and as well as in the most efficient and beneficial way possible. So some of the strategies that I'll talk to my clients about is creative and stable ways of savings, investing, long-term planning, understanding the work benefits, as well as ultimately minimizing taxes. So my story actually started out a little bit weird. I have a background in fashion and business, and I was in that for probably 10 years or so, but it wasn't necessarily something where I felt it was super rewarding to me. The fashion industry, it's extremely cutthroat. It's definitely very glamorous, but I did not see my worth in that industry. So there was a period of my time where I was kind of just floating around, just trying to see what my ultimate purpose was, and I was truly asking for a change in scenery. My brother was already an advisor here at this company, and he was servicing my family's policies, and I was just asking him, hey, how did you get into this? And he actually was sharing with me, certain things about the job that he liked, certain things that he didn't like, but he also ultimately decided, why don't you try this out? I think you'll be really good at this position. And to be really honest, I had no interest whatsoever. I didn't speak a lick of finance. I hate math. But it was more so about exploring the opportunity where I was able to essentially see the greater good that I can contribute into my community in terms of creating financial literacy for those that I care about as well as those that I serve. So kind of just to backtrack everything else, I did take the leap of faith into going into financial planning, but through that, I found an importance of actually tackling this new profession because I realized that it would still be relative to any type of work that I would do. Going into financial planning, it gave me the opportunity to actually start my own fashion business on the side as well too. So through that, I was able to kind of preach financial literacy to not only my family, with the addition of my brother, to my friends, my associates, my colleagues from my past, as well as anybody else that I meet. So just to kind of tail that all back together, I just more so saw it as a business opportunity, and I kind of just pounced on it. My lowest point was probably when I was growing into this business, and I'm a very stubborn person, so it came to the point where, I thought, oh, you know what, I can do anything and I can get it done at any time. Starting out in this business, of course, like any job, there are a lot of guidelines that you want to abide by to be able to set yourself up for success. Unfortunately, I was rebellious, so I decided to kind of go against that and go against the timelines. Unfortunately, in doing so, I ended up setting myself up for a lot of procrastination and a lot of feeling negatively, in a sense where I realized, hey, you know what, this probably isn't actually going to be working. You probably should not try to rewrite the script. So more specifically, I was seeing a lot of my colleagues at the time who had entered into the program surpassing me, and there were a lot of goals that I had planned it for myself, but I knew that I wasn't going to be able to reach that goal if I had continued to be lazy. So the lowest point in my career was when I became face-to-face with my direct mentor. He kind of just, showed me the true colors and said, listen, you have to stop being lazy. You have to stop telling yourself and creating this false idea in your mind that you're going to be able to achieve these things if you don't put the work in. I truly believe practice makes perfect, but even when you get good at what you do, you still want to keep practicing because there's always going to be someone that's younger, hungrier, and better than you. So at that point, I've always taught myself through all the downside, through all the rainy days, you want to be able to figure out how you're going to stay in for the long run and wait for that rainbow to come.
Hardships you face at work?
Some of the hardships that I definitely face at work is from a peer-to-peer perspective as well as an advisor to client perspective. It's just more so having that greater understanding that everybody's different. Everybody has their own mindset and everybody has different values. So on an advisor to client base, where the struggles actually come out a little bit more so is when I have to take a little bit more extra effort to make sure that the client understands all the empathy that I'm feeling, because at the end of the day, I'm dealing with their future. On a peer-to-peer basis, some struggles that I go through at work, and this doesn't happen too often just because I am so fortunate to work with an agency and a team that supports me 200%, and they love me just as much as I love them. But I've noticed that in a corporate setting, some of the struggles that I definitely experience is more so kind of seeing me undermined as a female. Seeing my position, being where I am, being at the top of the charts, it does put a lot of pressure on me, where I struggle sometimes because I know for sure at the end of the day, I can still commit myself and accomplish just as much as my male counterpart could, but because of just, the general public seeing me, I look a certain way, I am a female, of course, there are a lot of doubts that are just portrayed upon me. So that's something that I kind of always feel very uncomfortable on an occasional basis. In my field, I think what it takes to be a successful woman is just to be ultimately confident, not only necessarily in the work that you do, but ultimately yourself as a person. And there's a fine line between being confident and cocky, and I want to definitely distinguish that. Being confident in yourself is ultimately realizing that you're absolutely beautiful and okay where you are, who you are, and it doesn't matter what you do. Once you're able to establish that foundation and you're okay going out for your opportunities and exploring those chances, you're golden. Nobody can ever tell you a different idea than what's already in your mind. Nobody can tell you no if you know the answer is yes. Nobody can tell you to go right if you want to go left. I think that's definitely something that's going to be really important for women, not only in my industry, but industries all across the board, to have confidence in themselves and know when to draw the line. For women, especially with our generation now, it's something to kind of value our own value. We shouldn't necessarily have someone tell us what to think, how to dress, how to react, because at the end of the day, we know what's best for us. So confidence is definitely key. That's a tricky question. How I define success is more so being able to see. Success to me is when you're ultimately happy with what you're doing, but you can feel the love emanating and radiating from those around you that support you. Success to me, it's not about having a dollar sign attached to your name. It's not about having a certain ranking at your job or whatever the case. Success is, again, it's a very versatile definition to many, but success for me is just at the point where you're ultimately happy and ultimately proud of yourself. And when you have that foundation that is there to support you and ultimately say, you know what, we knew you could do it all along, that's what success is to me. I think we don't give ourselves enough credit sometimes. I was part of a study with some of the top women producers in the country in my industry, and we were discussing a study that was done that women tend to discredit themselves way more often than men can ever think to. So let's say, for example, if a man and woman were to apply for the same position, a woman will see, okay, I need these 10 qualifications to allow me to be able to apply for this job. If she notices that she's lacking one, she's most likely not going to apply for that job. Whereas on the other hand, a man will see the same 10 qualifications. And if he notices that he has at least one or even up to 3, he's still going to apply for it. That's the difference between the mentality and the mindset of successful women and successful men. We all start at different points, which is fine. It's all a learning curve for us. But with women, we tend to kind of draw ourselves back a few extra steps just because we don't have that confidence level or the security to know that, you know what, I'm just going to take that chance anyway. I think it's a huge thing for us to, again, have more confidence in ourselves. It doesn't matter if, you're not 100% qualified. Nobody in the world is ever going to be 100% qualified for that next big new opportunity, because if you were 100% qualified, change is never going to happen. And without change, our world can't get better. So if we just have a little bit more confidence in ourselves, we'll be able to go out and achieve everything that essentially is out there for us, even at the top. So yeah, I think women just kind of need to credit ourselves a little bit better. In this industry, I haven't experienced that yet, and while I've been humbly fortunate to be able to accelerate to the position that I am today, I didn't necessarily ever feel that negativity in my position now. But in the past, when I was in fashion, there was a lot of glass ceilings, and a lot of our skill and our expertise were capped because of someone else telling us it was capped. Thankfully, again, I've never had to undergo that experience where someone kind of downplayed me a little bit, but I'm sure there are plenty of glass ceilings in any industry, but it's just more so about how do we go around it. I'm sure it does exist. I'm sure the glass ceiling theory does exist for a number of reasons, because again, we don't have enough support, not only amongst ourselves, but amongst our communities and women as a whole in the entire world to kind of bring each other up. You know, there's a huge saying that there's strength in numbers, and unfortunately, women, we're probably some of the most powerful beings on the planet, but we spend too much time on the negative side, breaking each other down and downplaying each other's abilities, that we leave no room and time to work on each other's strengths and try to bring each other up. This plays in very closely with the confidence level as well too. If you have an insecure female versus a very confident female, their actions and their words are going to be completely different routes. We want to be able to kind of gauge more towards having confidence not only in ourselves, but those that we surround ourselves with and build each other up. So yeah, glass ceilings definitely exist, but they don't have to, because it's something that we can definitely break through, but it always does start with yourself. In our company, yes, there's plenty of successful female producers in our company, but there's not many. It's pretty normal to have that ratio of higher male to female successful producers, but the ones that actually do stand out, they've been in the business for a very long tenure. They're rock stars at what they do, but I can only imagine their stories and all the stuff that they had to go through, you know, having 20, 30, maybe 40 years on top of myself in the business, and just kind of imagining, you know, what kind of psychological hurdles that they have to overcome to get to where they are. Of the top female producers? Of the top female producers in our company, the ones that are constant rock stars, always at the top of the charts, I would probably say it would be maybe less than 5% of the company overall, especially with finance. Finance is relative to everybody in the world. Doesn't matter whether you're male, female, black, white, green, big, small, triangle shaped, whatever the case. Money is always relevant. However, why is it that we always see that males dominate in this industry? Because with women, we tend to be a little bit more emotional. We tend to discredit ourselves a little bit more. And again, sometimes we even tear ourselves down to realizing our ultimate potential and our opportunities. With women having such a low percentage of success in this industry, I think it says a lot about our ultimate potential and our pockets of opportunity to kind of take over that ratio a little bit. You know, we're just as smart, we're just as hungry, we're just as fast as the male counterpart, as the next big CEO of Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, etc., etc. Why aren't we there yet? We need to figure out what's the stigma that's breaking us apart from what our ultimate calling really can be. So yeah, just, yeah. In my office specifically, in my team, in my agency, absolutely. Again, I'm so fortunate to be able to work with coworkers that have become my family, my close friends. I don't even bat an eye knowing that I have to spend 15 hours a day with them sometimes, every single day. My office, especially being that we are on the younger generation side, we are mostly minorities too. We're kind of all going through the same life stages and experiencing the same thing. We provide unlimited support and unconditional love for each other. However, unfortunately, I can't necessarily reflect the same based off of my experience with the company overall. Again, just kind of throwing ourselves into that giant metaphor of what we call, you know, finance, being successful. Unfortunately, it is a man's world. as of right now, but I'm working hard to break that stigma, to create more of the culture that we have specifically in my office, to kind of relay that back out and say, hey, you know what, if we all work together towards the same goal, we're gonna get there, but that much better, because we're all pitching for the same team. There's no point in kind of breaking each other down. We all want to be successful. Sometimes it gets lonely at the top, but it doesn't have to be if you keep bringing ourselves up together. Gender equality definitely does not exist, unfortunately, just because I feel with traditions, it's something that it's very hard to break through. Tradition is something where you kind of just do or say something and you don't really question it because you're so used to people before you adopting the same behavior. However, the ones that do question, why are we doing it this way? Why were we doing it this way for so long? And how can we make it better? Are the ones that are actually going to change the industry. Gender equality, unfortunately, doesn't exist because we have too many people who doubt themselves, but we have even more people who are easily willing to just go ahead and push those people down while they're down already. Our generation is not going to change, and we're definitely not going to really fully understand what gender equality is until the people who have constantly been at the bottom and getting bullied and just constantly, kind of being put down all the time, till they realize, you know what, I'm kind of sick of feeling this. I know I'm really good, I can do it, and they actually spring up for their opportunities. Gender equality is something that is a little bit of a sensitive topic to me just because I am a very young female minority in my industry, but that actually motivates me more to be as hungry and strive to do way better than the 10 males that were before me. I would definitely say in terms of being successful in your career, in your personal life, in your finances, you definitely want to start with having confidence. Confidence, unfortunately, is not something that a lot of people are strong in, but it's definitely something that you need to build, and it's absolutely doable. Of course, you have the differences between people who are a little bit more reserved, a little bit more quiet. That's fine too. At the end of the day, I think if you just paint a clear picture for yourself, kind of create that foundation or the blueprint for yourself and have an idea of where you want to go, whether it's your next career move, the next job you want to apply for and essentially stay there, your next financial goal, or whatever the case. Just have a clear-cut idea and kind of create that guideline for yourself and say, okay, this is what I need to do to get to point B in the most efficient way. How am I going to do those steps? Any other last steps is seek help too. I truly believe that our human species definitely needs the support of each other. If that weren't the case, why are there so many of us? What is this thing we call love? With everything that we do in life, whether it's a job, family, being able to go on vacations, or just anything, honestly, love emanates from it. So if you love yourself, you love what you do, and you love ultimately what you're planning for, it will guide you to success. So be confident, love yourself, love those around you, and have a plan.